Welcome back. It's time for video 2 from Unit 6. We've started our study of simple interest formula. And what this section does is it basically takes that formula and invites us to think about isolating other variables other than I. So again, I'm a little different than your author here in that I think it's just as easy to do this from an algebraic approach, just playing clean from the simple interest formula, but I will show you both solutions and you pick the one that actually feels better to you. So let's run out. This is found from section 16.2, where you and I will simply say, all right, well, what do I know and what do I want to find? All right, so again, you've kind of heard this discussion already. I don't know that my perspective might be, God, I love memorizing formulas. Let me get some more of those. I think if I can get by with one and just be a little bit algebraic in terms of my approach, I think I'd prefer to do that. So here we go. If by chance you are asked to find P, you're isolating a variable, so you've got to get rid of R and T, and you and I are going to be dividing both sides of that equation by R and T as a product, and that's what you see coming in on the first click. Obviously, on the right-hand side, the R values will cancel, as will the T values, and what's left is the variable we were attempting to isolate. So according to your author, we could use known values for interest rate and time and calculate a value for principal by applying that formula. There it is. If you like it, certainly feel free to use it. If you want to say, well, could I do this in terms of isolating the other letters in a similar fashion? Oh, you know you can, but we'll do an example first. All right. So this guy's got $422.50. That's your interest value. It's a simple interest loan. We've got a rate at 6.5 and 90 days. And in this case, we're using ordinary interest, so that'll be 90 over 360. The question says, how much did he borrow? So your unknown is P. If you want to simply use the formula and go, all right, that's my approach, plugging in values that are known, 422.50 for interest rate at 0.065, and time at 90 over 36. Calculator action, 0.065 times 90 divided by 360. That's where that decimal of 0.01625 came in. Don't round it, let it stay exact. Your final step is to divide. So we're going to take 422.50 and divide by 0.01625. We find that the loan was started with a borrow amount of $26,000. If you want to use the formula that we just created, there it is. Principal can be found by taking I over R times T. I'd be remiss if I didn't point out that's really what we just did. The only difference here is you're putting everything into a formula look, and you notice this exact same arithmetic at the end. So it can't matter which way. Pick the method that seems cleanest to you. I'm probably going to stick most with the I equals PRT and simply manipulate it as I need to find what it is you're asking me to find. Okay, so problem 4 is done. Similar approach, if somebody says, I need you to get R by itself so that I can use known information about interest charge, principal, and time and calculate the interest rate, you're going to go ahead and divide the things that you don't want, namely the P and the T. In similar fashion, they're going to cancel out, leave you the R, and you will find that rate can be found by taking interest charge and dividing by principal times time. So what are you going to do, Del? Well, all right, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you both ways again. There's the straight run. So we got principal of 16,000. We've got interest charge 320. It's 90 days. And again, we're playing ordinary interest. So that time will be 90 over 360. I'm going to put in what I know. I'm solving for R. So I'm going to grab my calculator, take 16,000 times 90, and then divide by 360. And that's where that $4,000 came from. And I'm going to solve for R by dividing both sides by 4,000. And that gets me 0.08. So I am now finished. If that's all I wanted, I know that that rate is 8%. If you want to use the formula that we developed a moment ago, you're going to notice again that it's pretty much the exact same chain of arithmetic that we just walked through. It has to be. So either way works. Pick the way that you're more comfortable with and just stay there. As from my concerns, you don't have to go back and forth. All right, 8% interest on that loan. Last one, If somebody says, man, I wish I could find the time value, I have knowledge of interest, principal, and rate. If you like the algebra approach, here it goes. We're going to divide by P and R. There go the cancels on those. That isolates time. According to your author, there's a formula. If you want another formula for us to keep track of, we could calculate time by taking interest charge and dividing it by the product of principal and rate. Got an example? Sure, why not? Let's do it. All right. Make sure you got 360 or 365 to come back and play days at the end of this. Again, you got to read the problem critically and find out which it asks for. It does seem like the bulk of the problems in your textbook tend to be ordinary, and you'll be using 360. All right, gonna borrow $320. Interest for that loan was $10.40, 6.5%. How long was the loan? And we're invited to use ordinary interest, so that'll be the 360. Put what we know into that formula. Well, we know some things. We know the interest charge was 1040. We know the principal borrow was 320, and we know the rate was 0.065. So grab your calculator. 320 times 0.065 got us to 20.8. Solving for t, it's going to be 10.40 divided by 20.8. Now that's decimal parts of years. So to convert it out to days, we're going to take that decimal, we're going to multiply by either 360, if it says ordinary interest, which it does this time. Had it said exact, we would multiply by 365 and round it to the nearest whole day. So we get a clean answer at 180 days. If you like the formula, you're going to see a very similar look. Same value coming up as a decimal, same multiply by 360 and 180 days. So the loan was in play for 180 days on number 6. So again, from my perspective, I think I just prefer to use the formula that we have, plug in what I know, and use my algebra sense to go ahead and solve for what it is you're asking me to find. A little bit more as it relates to time. If we're playing days, it's going to be the number of days either over 360 or 365 relative to seeing words like ordinary interest or exact interest. If we're playing weeks, 52 is your denominator, 52 weeks in a year. If we're playing months, 12 will be your denominator, 12 months in a year. So we got to make sure that we're clean and crisp with time values, because the rates that we're using are for a year. They're annual rates. So that simply means that you and I have the onus of expressing time as a years or parts of years play. That, my friends, ends video 2 from Unit 6. I'll be back soon with video 3, and that will wrap out Unit 6. See you then.